大家好，我是彭老师. Okay, so today we're going to talk about um, the vocabulary actually for lesson 19, dialogue 2. That's the volume 2, fourth edition of Integrated Chinese. All right, and I actually want to go over the language notes, which is technically vocabulary. Um, so there's when I was talking about like the beginning of the month, middle of the month, end of the month, beginning of the year, middle of the year, end of the year. You usually use these. 初, which means beginning, 中 means middle, 底 means like the end of the month, the bottom. It literally means the bottom of the month. Okay, so 中 you probably know from 中国, so Middle Kingdom already. So 初中底. Okay, so for example, if you want to say at the beginning of the month, you would say 月初, middle of the month 月中, end of the month 月底. So the 月, whatever it is, so if it's month or year, that comes first, and then you put in this modifier, okay, whichever you need to use. All right, so you can also use it for years, 年初, 年中, 年底. Okay, that's basically it. All right, so 航班it just means like a flight number, 航班. And then in Taiwan, and when I was in Hong Kong too, I believe that when they broadcasted in Mandarin, they also use 班机. All right, 打折 means a discount, and here it goes through a whole big explanation. But just to put it simply, so for example, if you want to say that something is 10% off, okay, you would actually think of it in a little bit different logic than in English. So you would actually say 打九折. So you would put the whatever number in the middle. And the way Chinese quantify this is that, first of all, they don't go by percentage. They go by tenths, okay? So if it's 10% off, it's 1 out of 10, correct? Okay, so then how do you get the 9, the 9? Well, what they account for is the price that you're actually getting opposed to the price off. So if you have to pay 90% or 9 out of 10%, you would say 9. Okay, hope that's all very clear. All right, so 打九折. If you need repetition, just go back, play back the video a little bit. All right, and then there's 国行. 国行, often in Chinese, like they make abbreviations. So for example, if you want to say like Beijing University, 北京大学, right? So Beijing University, you could just say 北大, okay? And there's many, they just cut out a bunch of words just to abbreviate. Usually abbreviations end up being like just 2 characters. All right. So for example, Air China, which is China's, premier airline, opposed to China Airlines, I think it's called, which is Taiwan's premier airline. So it's a difference. So anyway, the full name is 中国国际航空公司. So it says China International Airlines, and that's how I translated it. But most people call it Air China. Okay, just so you know, is that you can also translate it as Air China. 走 just means to leave or depart. 对了 just means, oh, right. Like it's like an interjection saying like, oh, I forgot something to say something. Just say, oh, right. That's right. Okay. All right. So let's go over the vocabulary list. So 出 just means beginning. 单程, which means one-way trip. Okay. So 单 means like single. 程 is like a trip. Okay. 往返 往 just means like in a direction. 返 means to return. So have a return trip, when you want a two-way ticket, it would be a return trip. All right. 航空 just means aviation. Okay. And if you put a 公司 at the back of this, the end of this, then it would be, like an airline company. All right. Or an airline. We would just call it airline in English. 查 means to check. All right. 航班 is scheduled flight. Went over that. 签 Qian is 1,000. I'm not sure that we've run into number like this yet. Qian, it goes after bai. Bai is 100. So this is qian, 1,000. Zhifei, so zhi means direct. Fei is flight or fly. So direct flight. All right. Da zhe, we went over this. So it's a discount. Zhuan ji. Zhuan means to change. Ji, planes. Okay. So to transfer. We would say in English to transfer, but literally to change planes because G is plane. Kao, which means lean against. Like, do you want to be against or next to, for example, a window? So 窗户. 窗户 is a window. Okay. Chuang is mainly the window part. Kind of actually, you could imagine this just looking like a window. Hu is referring to like inside of a home structure. Okay, that's a radical for like a home structure. 走道, so it means like an aisle. So walking path, literally. So 走 is to walk, 道 is a path. 分 is a measure word usually used for like a set meal or something like that. Okay, 素餐, su means vegetarian, 餐 means meal. 旅馆, so again it has the umlaut 旅馆, okay, which means hotel. Okay, so 馆 is usually, it's a place usually, and it's usually where you eat, or can be even referring to a hotel. But when I was in China, hotels often just serve food as well. Like you could stay there and you could eat there. If you don't stay there, you could often just buy food there. While in America, it's usually for special events. They would have that in a hotel where you could eat there. But other than that, usually it wouldn't be a regular restaurant, at least in the part where I live. Okay, and use like a trip. So it's a trip, hotel, meaning just it's a hotel. Okay. So, or it's referring to, actually, you can also refer to the person. It's, it can be dynamic. Let's put it that way. And then 租 is to rent. Okay, 租 is to rent. And then you have 中国国际航空公司, so China International Airline Company. And in short, it's called Air China. And then here it says 西北航空公司, so Northwest airline company. So in other words, Northwest Airlines. You could say 国航, so 国 is domestic, 航 is referring to the flight company, so domestic flight company. You could say 西北航空. You wouldn't, you could say 西航, but it's not specific enough here. You probably wouldn't hear it. You would say 西北航空, and then maybe you could omit the 公司. People would know that that's probably implied. All right, it depends, if what you say, if it's going to be ambiguous or not. So, okay, that pretty much wraps up the volume 2, dialogue 2 of lesson 19, 4th edition in integrated Chinese. 谢谢大家，我是庞老师，再见。